Hi guys, how are you all doing? I hope you're in the best of health. I hope you're drinking water and minding your business. If you're new to my channel, my name is Eni Paul, and it's so very nice to meet you. I make content on student advice, medicine, lifestyle, and natural hair. In today's video, we're going to be discussing some of the culture shocks that you will encounter, some of the ones I encountered moving from Nigeria to Ukraine, some of the ones you will encounter being a foreigner if you're coming into Ukraine from, say, the United States, wherever you're coming from, Africa. Guys, some of the culture shocks you'll be encountering might be serious, okay? So in order for you to get into Ukraine, blend in nicely some of the things you'll be saying, if that's what you're interested in learning more about, please stay tuned and we will dive right into it, okay? Okay, so guys, the first culture shock is that, guys, you guys can't wear hats or caps in the buildings, okay? It is wrong, or like they count it as mortal sin. Like, do not do it, okay? The ladies can get by with like wearing caps, wearing scarves, wearing hats, on their head, but the guys, the same doesn't exactly go for the guys. Yeah, so that's your first culture shock. Okay, so the second culture shock is you shouldn't be drinking water from the tap. And I know that this won't be a culture shock for everyone that's actually watching this video, but I mean, I came from a place in Nigeria where you can actually drink water from the tap, like it's safe, okay? And me getting into Ukraine, finding out you can't drink water from the taps, this is actually because they use lead pipes. And I mean, if you drink water from the tap all the time, you get lead poisoning, your organs will start to shut down, and other not so nice things like that, okay? So please endeavor not to drink water from the taps when you get into Ukraine. Yes, I know people use this water to cook, but the waters actually go through a lot of boiling, frying. I don't know what else can you do with water, steaming? I don't even know, guys, but you guys kind of get the drift, okay? Okay, so the third culture shock will be to learn all languages but choose yours wisely. And I'm saying this because, I mean, Ukraine has a lot of languages that people speak inside of them. First of all, English, because I'm an English speaking person, but Ukrainian is the major language spoken in Ukraine, okay? So there's Ukrainian, there's Russian, some people speak Polish, the Slavic, different languages actually. But this is what I advise. When you learn all the languages that you can learn, starting from the most essential ones like Ukrainian and Russian languages, try to reply people that ask you questions in Ukrainian. Try to reply people that ask you questions in Russian. And I know there's this other language, I've forgotten what it's actually called right now, but it's a mix of Ukrainian and Russian languages, or it's a mix of, it's like pidgin, think of it as pidgin Ukrainian, like they speak it off the streets. So obviously you won't be learning that in schools or in normal legal institutions, so you'll be picking that off the streets. If you happen to be able to learn it and you come in contact with a street person, by all means, go street. Give them the language they ask you the questions in, okay? All right, so the fourth culture shock for me was to watch where you step. And this is actually very, I know people don't really get it, but you get it. So watch where you step, because first off, Ukraine has like a really high population of people that smoke and drink, but I know that not all Ukrainians or people living in Ukraine actually smoke and drink. But from the people that smoke, they spit like a lot on the floors, and guys, it can be very irking, like very nauseating or very out of place for you to walk 2 steps and see a glob of spit on the floor and walk like 1 step back and there's another glob of spit waiting for you behind you, So please watch where you step, except you're that kind of person that doesn't really mind it, and by all means, go for it. I'm just really picky about what goes under my shoes, because I mean, my shoes come in my house, and yeah, that's about it. Also, under watching where you step, please, in Ukraine, I don't know, for some reason it's not really a social etiquette to blow your nose in public. I believe in some other places, in some other parts of the world, you can get away with this. You can wipe your hand on your sleeve, maybe. That's wrong. You can blow in a hanky or in a tissue and look cute. That's all right. But in Ukraine, please don't blow your nose in public. Try to get into a closed space, into the toilet. Like, just, people are going to be giving the side eye, but if you don't mind, by all means, do you, boo. So the sixth culture shock here is that the locals love their breaks, and this is not a you or a me factor, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So some time ago, I took my dress to the seamstress to actually get it mended, and she was like, oh, чекай, зараз перерва. Like, it means wait, now it's break. And she, I don't know, she wasn't eating during the break, she wasn't sleeping during the break, she was just, you know, breaking. She was breaking up, guys. Well, that's by the way, just ignore it, okay? But guys, she took her 10 minutes to do whatever she wanted to do, to just breathe, and then came back to attend to me after 10 minutes were done. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this so that if this happens to you or anyone close to you, you understand that this is not because you're African, this is not because you're black, this is not because you're white or a foreigner. This is because the locals love their breaks. They would have their breaks, they would finish their breaks, and then they will attend to you. If possible, there's still some of your time as well on the breaks. So yeah, guys, that is it. The seventh culture shock that I encountered coming from Nigeria to Ukraine is that people don't really love personal space. I know some places in Nigeria people don't care about this, but well, with how things have been going, with how things have been spreading, with how people have been catching diseases here, I'm not about to give up my personal space. And getting into Ukraine, I found out that people, depending on the type of setting you're in, people would actually choke you. Okay, not like choke you, like hold your neck, choke you, but choke you like they're in your space. Someone is like almost in your armpit in the tram. Someone is like almost like right beside you in the trams. I'm like, I don't know, guys, but if personal space is a thing you're big on, consider conceding some of your space before you actually get into Ukraine. I hope this helps you. The eighth culture shock that I encountered coming from Nigeria to Ukraine was Ukrainians love to play dress up. Like, guys, they stay dressed all the time. If you look at Ukrainian ladies, they are dressed, they have their hair done, their nails done, their pedis done, they have everything. Makeup is done. People literally get those, what do they call them? The eyebrow ones. They have everything. Like, people are looking like models on the streets. Like, I don't know why, but depending on where you're coming from, this might be a culture shock for you. Like, this might be something to be like, why are people doing that? They're only going for anatomy. No, boo, they're going for anatomy, but it's a part of their lifestyle now. So if you're coming from a place where, for example, you used to wear like sweatpants and, you know, flip-flops, please bear in mind that this is a normal thing for Ukrainian people to do. Okay, so the ninth culture shock is pickup lines are pickup lines, compliments are not. Ukrainian men are like really direct when they're coming at you. Of course, Ukrainian men like to flirt and whatnot, but like if they say, oh, krasivaya dziewczynka, or something like you're a beautiful girl, well, you're a beautiful girl. But if they say, let's have tea tomorrow, you know, let's go out and have tea. Now, that is a pickup. That is, I want to get with you, I want to date you, I want to see where this goes. If that's something that you're interested in, please also be direct as well. Because I mean, coming from a country, or depending on the country you're coming from, but coming from a country where people usually like go like the green snake in the green grass, to a country where people just come at you like straight. You know that thing where they say, if you want to come for me directly, don't come through the corners. Yeah, Ukrainian men do that a lot. Okay, the 10th culture shock from you is Ukrainians are strong people. Like, forget how they look, forget that they look like they have like 80 pounds on them or whatnot, or they're pot-bellied and whatnot. Please don't judge a Ukrainian book by its cover, okay? Do not do that. The reason why I'm saying that is Ukrainian people are so strong. So they lift things, they walk 1 mile, 10 miles. Like, guys, they trek, okay? I don't mean this in a bad way. But if you have a Ukrainian friend, or you make a Ukrainian friend and they go like, oh, it's just down the street, or it's just 2 streets away, or it's just 500 meters or 200 meters. Guys, please do not do that. In Nigeria, where we come from, 200 meters is... it's a lot. You use bike for 200 meters, okay? So guys, please bear in mind that if a Ukrainian person is telling you it's not so far away, if a Ukrainian person tells you it's not so far away, a relatively far distance. Like, just keep it at the back of your mind, okay? Which leads me to the next culture shock. Ukrainians build their houses or their buildings with some form of steps or staircases. I don't know why this happens, but if you pay attention when you enter Ukraine, almost every building has like some sort of steps, some sort of stairs, some sort of staircases. So guys, that's something that you have to pay attention to. Like, just be ready. Of course, the buildings with staircases and whatnot usually will have elevators, except they were like built in 1900 BC, or they were built so long ago, like they would usually have elevators. But there are buildings that don't have elevators. You need to be mentally ready for those type of buildings, okay? I'm doing you guys a favor. I'm saving your life. I love you guys, honestly. This is the 12th culture shock, and it was very jarring for me. I'm going to explain why. So first off, these are the toilet matters. And for the toilet matters, Ukrainians have this really hard tissue. Like, it's so hard, it's almost like paper, like actual paper, okay? And you know, when you wipe, if you wipe aggressively, you will injure something. So please be gentle. If you don't have a lot of money, or you don't want to stock up on the softer tissues, which are usually more expensive, you might want to wipe a little more carefully. You might want to be gentle. Yeah. And also another thing is, whether you use the soft tissues or you use the hard tissues, please do not dispose your tissue paper in the actual toilet basin, okay? Like, don't do that. They usually have bins by the side of the toilet seats where you can put your tissue in. So if you pee, if you know, the other one, you just, if you defecate, you wipe, and you put your toilet paper in the bin. Not in the basin, please, people, not in the basin. You will clog something and it will become a big deal, okay? All right, so the 13th culture shock for me was Ukrainians have very rich food, which was quite shocking, because I usually would just think, oh, white people eat bread, white people eat chicken, white people eat chips, and that's about it. But Ukrainians have a lot of food, like food that just like show you the cultural side to them. And guys, it's just wow. But bear in mind, Ukrainians have staple ingredients. And when I say staple ingredients, I mean things like potatoes, cabbages, carrots. Like, those things are almost in every single meal. There's always bread on the table. So if you go for a picnic with Ukrainians, you'll see bread on the table. If you're going for a dinner, or you're in a diner, you want to buy something, you want to buy some soup, there's always bread on the table. Just put that at the back of your mind, okay? Now guys, this is the next culture shock, and this is also under food. Ukrainians do not like pepper. So if you're kind of on the spicy side of the spectrum, or you like your food a little bit more spicy than the average Nigerian does, guys, you're going to have a hard time blending in. Now, I'm saying this because some of you will make Ukrainian friends and you'll want to serve some of your meals to them. You want to show them what your Nigerian food, your whatever food is like, your own culture. Please bear in mind, my people, that you are going to destroy them with the pepper. Like, you literally see them go red. Please calm down on the pepper. Ukrainians do not like pepper, okay? Still under food, the next culture shock is, I got into Ukraine and found out that Ukraine has some really interesting apples, if I do say so myself. And I mean interesting because you bite into the apple and it's like it's sweet, don't get me wrong, and they have a lot of apples, and the apples are actually very cheap, and they look very juicy sometimes, but the consistency of the apples are just like, what is actually happening? I am actually angry with the apples, guys. I am actually angry because you buy an apple, it's so, like, it's cheap. You could get like 10 apples for under $3. Do you get? Sometimes, depends. And you get the apples and then they just blur in your mouth, okay? So please bear in mind that some of the apples consistencies are kind of off. So usually I couldn't really tell, like, you can't tell the consistency of the apples just by looking at them, but you can know the colors that give you the consistency or close to the consistency that you are used to. So If they're the red apples, you always buy the reds. If they're the green apples, you always buy the greens. Depends on where you're at and who is selling what to you. So if I got the apples with the wrong consistencies, then I will just blend that and drink it. Like, all my money cannot just waste, okay? Okay, so the next culture shock on the list from me is that Ukrainians like public display of affection, and they're a little extra on this. Like, you see people holding hands, touching, kissing on the tram. Some people are actually even having a go at it, you know, outside. Depends, you know, when they have those benches, and there's actually a lot that happens there. Like, reports of Ukrainians, you know, pleasing themselves has been quite rampant. Please, guys, if you happen to see a couple having the time of their lives on a bench, just leave them be and pass. It is normal in Ukraine. I'm just telling you, because in my part of the world, first off, if you even kiss your husband outside, people are looking at you funny. But yeah, that's that's really it. Okay, so under public display of affection, Ukrainians usually will marry early. Like, they love marrying early. Not really love marrying early, but they just like, they encourage it. Okay, so you see people getting married at 19, people getting married at 20. Like, guys, it just happens. Okay, like, it actually just happens. And under this culture shock, I believe the next culture shock will be that Ukrainians have like a lot. Ukraine generally has a lot of parks. Okay, so you could go here and see like a park, and there will be a name, or Druzhby Narodiv or something, and then there will be another park there, and then there will be another park here, and they have a lot of parks. And now, bust your brains. Another culture shock is that the weddings happen at these parks, okay? So people get married at these parks, people are taking pictures, they look all nice, they have flowers, there's a bride, there's a groom. If you see people gathered and they're not making noise, they're just taking pictures and smiling really hard, best believe that a wedding is actually going on, or a wedding reception is actually going on. I mean, the receptions are not as loud as the typical Nigerian reception happens to look like, okay? So if you see people, maybe that's something that you're interested in watching. If you ever encounter people at a park being all busy in their business, just know that some people actually maybe got hitched, okay? Okay, so the next aspect of the culture shocks that I'm going to be talking about is the road, okay? The road. Guys, the road. Ukrainians love speed, okay? This is not like a generalized thing for all Ukrainians to love speed. Some Ukrainians drive safe, but depending on what kind of message they perceive from you or from your taxi driver, they might want to overtake you. Now, guys, if you see when they're overtaking, it's like vroom, like zoom, 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 like very sharp, okay? And what happens in cases like this, please just let them pass and let them go. Like, there's a lot of people in Ukraine that you don't want to mess with. You know how we have like cults in Nigeria and whatnot? We actually have the mafia in Ukraine. People don't talk about this a lot. This wasn't supposed to be part of the video, but I'm going to leave it in here just to make sure that you guys are staying safe. That leads me to my next culture shock. Ukrainians park anywhere, like almost anywhere. Like, you can go through roads and see like double parking, and it will actually be a normal thing. So your goal is not to join them and double park, or if that's your goal, fine. Your goal is to pass, just waka pass, like waka jeje and go, okay? If you're driving, if you're in a taxi, like, go. Don't holler at anybody. Don't be like, oh, what are you doing? Show me a pay, all those kind of, no, don't do that, please. Just go, okay? Go. Some Ukrainians can be a little aggressive, so just go, okay? All right. This leads me also to my next culture shock, and it is that if you bash someone or you hit something or you have an accident, you both are not going anywhere, okay? You both are staying there. And the reason for this is because Ukrainians usually buy things on credit, so they pay like instrumentally, okay? Or they'll do, and they also have like insurances. So everything is insured. Your hair is insured, your car is insured. And imagine that you bash my insured car. Of course, you're not going anywhere. I am not letting you go anywhere. We are going to stand or sit. In fact, we're going to stand under the sun. Why are you sitting in your AC car? We're going to stand under the sun, wait for the insurance people to come around, wait for the police to come around, wait for paperwork to actually be done, wait to reach an agreement before any one of us leaves the accident location. Okay, so this can tend to lead to a lot of traffic on the road. You know, this can lead to maybe slow movement or something. If you happen to see people just at a standstill in the middle of the road, most likely they had an accident. Okay, all right, so guys, before I go into the 21st culture shock, please, if you are enjoying this video, if this video is enlightening you, educating you, entertaining you, please support the channel by hitting the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. And please like this video. It will help you to recommend this video to amazing people like yourself, so people can find this video faster. Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right, so the 21st culture shock is that Ukrainians love flowers. If you didn't already know, if you put Ukrainians with Caucasians and you're like, white people love flowers. Yes, they love flowers. Give them their flowers. Give them their flowers. Okay, give them their flowers. But this leads to the next culture shock. It is advisable that you don't give an even number of flowers. So don't give me 2 flowers or 4 flowers or 6 flowers. Give me 1 beautiful rose, a white rose. Maybe those are more expensive. So maybe a white rose, 3, 5, 7. But this would usually not affect you if you go to buy your flowers at like the flower shop, because usually the flowers, like the florists, they pack the flowers according to Ukrainian traditions, according to, you know, their etiquette and whatnot. So you won't be encountering this a lot. But if you happen to want to become a florist, or you want to pick up the flowers by yourself, please do not pick up an even number of flowers. They kind of think of it as a bad omen. Yeah. Also, under flowers and gifting people things, I will give you nice gift ideas. So nice gift ideas are flowers, perfumes, you know, chocolates, even for the ladies. Like the ladies love their chocolates. Give them any of these things. Give them some wine, some nice wine. Some guys would like maybe cigarettes. I don't think that's like the best of gifts to give. Maybe a card will be better, but it depends entirely on who you're gifting and how you're gifting what you're gifting. Now, for the types of gifts that people would usually not like in Ukraine, people don't like to receive watches or wristwatches as gifts. This is, I know in recent times this is changing, but before it used to be like a bad omen. Like it used to be, imagine you giving me a wristwatch on my 60th birthday, and I, in my old Ukrainian mentality, I'm thinking, okay, this guy is giving me a wristwatch, like how many more years, how much more time, that kind of thing. But I know in recent times there are a lot more enlightened Ukrainians, but still it's better to be safe than to unintentionally make somebody angry. So guys, please do not give wristwatches, do not gift wristwatches as a gift when you have gotten other options. Okay, for the next culture shock is that we have these Ukrainian clothes. We call them Vyshivanka. I'm so sorry I keep looking down. That's actually where my script is. But we call the Ukrainian cultural wear Vyshivanka. Now, Vyshivanka is a long word, so maybe you can just say cultural clothes or Ukrainian clothes. I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. So far, you both mean the same thing in the marketplace when you want to get it or when you want to put it on. Yeah. So guys, the thing is, usually with cultural clothes in my side of the world, like in Nigeria, we wear cultural clothes for events, on weekends, when we have a ceremony. But in Ukraine, like people wear cultural clothes like today, like tomorrow, like people don't care. Okay, people wear cultural clothes like today, every single day. People, and the funny thing is the clothes are actually expensive. So please guys, don't think, okay, don't believe that because they wear them so often they would be easy to buy in the marketplaces. No, they are not. For the next culture shock, it is that we have the Soviet calendars, our dearest Soviet calendars. Okay, so the thing is that for the Soviet calendars, when you're working with Soviet calendars, the actual celebration times for the Ukrainians are like a little more forward than our actual celebration times. So I'm going to use an example of Christmas because I mean it's Christmas time, but guys, Christmas for us, I would say, I don't know the name I want to give us, but Christmas usually is around like December 25th, like it's December 25th. And Christmas in Ukraine, people celebrate Christmas in January. You know, January 7th is the actual, you know, big day for them. But this is because of the calendar that they're using. So it affects Christmas, it affects Easter. I like to think of it as a plus. So I have like double Christmas and double Easter. But it is up to you. So if you're heading into Ukraine, if you're already in Ukraine, if you want to get into Ukraine, this is something that you should know, okay? Under this, we have the Easter bread. We have things we call the Easter eggs and Easter breads. They're really cute things, okay? So I've shared what the Easter bread looks like in one of my videos. I will put it up on the screen for you. But the breads and the eggs are like sold around the Easter time. The bread is called Pascha, and like it's really sweet. It reminds me of there's this bread they serve at the wedding ceremonies where the bride's parents bring the bread, and we call the bread korovai. And korovai is, think of it as cake bread. It's so nice. It's baked differently, and when you cut into it, like guys, I'm like, I've been blown by the type of breads that they have in Ukraine, okay? They are good on breads. But please bear in mind that we have the Easter bread and Easter eggs. So if you're looking to celebrate, you know, Easter in Ukraine, that's definitely something that you should be trying out, okay? So for the 27th culture shock, this is actually a very, I can't bear to think about it. People skinny dip in winter, and it is a normal thing. Like, okay, I think I'm going to have to Google this one, okay? Just 1 second. So guys, skinny dipping in winter Ukraine. Okay, this is what Google says, okay? It says every year on January 19th in Kyiv, Ukraine, and this also happens in a lot of other cities because this has happened in my city a couple of times. So in Kyiv, Ukraine, thousands of people gather along the banks and on top of the frozen Dnieper River to find a cross-shaped hole cut out of the ice. Moments later, many of those same people will be peeling off their clothes layer by layer and then dunking themselves in the icy waters. So guys, people skinny dip, people dunk in water. Guys, for them, this is a religious activity, as I understand. Like, I want to call it a ritual, but I know it's a religious activity. Think of it as a mini baptism, but it's actually not. So if you see white people doing it, please, white people, not necessarily white people, if you see Ukrainians skinny dipping in winter and you think that your organs can handle it, I'm not saying go for it because it is cold, but you can try. But you can try. So for the next, so guys, for the next culture shock, in Ukraine, don't ask people how are you, except you really want to know. People in Ukraine are a little more emotional. So when you ask your teacher or you ask your friend, how are you doing? People don't tell you I am fine, like in other parts of the world where people are camouflaging how they're feeling, people are hiding what's really happening to them. No. You'll be like, how are you? And people will be like, yo, I'm so tired. I've done this. I've been here. I've been there. I have this problem. What not. It's not getting solved. Guys, you're in for the time of your life. And best believe, please ask, how are you? If you really want to know. Not necessarily because you'll be providing a solution. By all means, provide a solution. But don't ask, how are you? Except you really want to know. You'll be like, hello, good morning. hello, good morning. That's a better greeting, okay? The 29 culture shock is when you pass a church, people tend to make a cross. And you'll notice this more on the trams or in the public transports or in the, marshrutkas. So people will pass a church and you see them go like, which is generally how they behave. It is a normal thing for them to do, So if you see that happening, it's all right. They're not losing their shit. They're acknowledging what is going on there, and you can join them as well if you want to. All right, another culture shock is Ukrainians, okay, this might not be a shock for everyone, but depending on where you are from when you are watching this. If you're from a place where they ask, what is your name? And you say any Paul, this will be a culture shock to you. So Ukrainians usually would have like 3 names or more, but usually it's 3 names. And the 3 names will be your name, your middle name, and your father's name, that kind of thing. So it's a lot, okay? But this one was actually not a culture shock for me. I'm just sharing this because now I understand that a lot more people will be coming to Ukraine, and people usually have like first name and last name finished. No middle names, no surnames, no titles, nothing. In Ukraine, it's actually not like that. It's not like that, okay? All right, so this is the last culture shock for today. This is the 31st culture shock. As you know, on this channel, we love bonuses, okay? And this culture shock is your grandma, she's not at home, okay? She's not at home. Your grandma is on the tram going around the city looking at how the flowers are growing. She's checking, has the rain fallen today? Is the sun shining? Your grandma is not at home, okay? So the reason why I'm saying this is because we usually call the grandmas in Ukraine Babushkas, okay, or Babusia. And guys, it is normal to see the Babushkas or the Babusias in the trams, in the public transports, in the marshrutkas, going around the town, going around the city. Like, not necessarily, they're not going to the marketplaces or anything of that sort. They just want to see how things are looking like before they head back home to rest. So therefore, if you see a babushka on the tram or in the marshrutka, be nice. Ukrainians would usually be nice and give or offer their seats to these old women to sit on. So I know some Ukrainians will like choose to sit down and expect that the black person should stand, but if you want to, by all means do so. I do know that there are still nice Ukrainians that stand up for babushkas or babusias when they see them in the trams. So your grandma is not at home. She's taking the cat out or the dog out for a tour around the city, okay? So yeah, guys, we've actually discussed 31 culture shocks that you will experience moving from Nigeria to Ukraine or moving from any other part of the world to Ukraine. If there's any culture shock that was like, that stood out for you, any culture shock that made you go like, wow, that actually happens, any culture shock that made you go like, I didn't know that. Did you know about the toilet paper ones? Which ones have you already heard about? Please write in the comment section. We'll be talking. I'll be answering your questions. I'll be replying. Any questions, any suggestions that you have, please let me know in the comment section as well. Let me know the favorite parts or the, culture shocks that you loved the most. I will see you guys in another video. Until then, peace and lots of love.